Alright, Travis Wingoodsill. So among my multitasking today, I had emailed a complaint to overseers or bosses of a particular organization which has been directly assaulting me in relation to the case against the LDS Church. And it may sound complicated, but like I said, Utah is full of Mormons in all positions, in government, in society, in business, everywhere. You run into Mormons everywhere. And when Mormons identify a person who's anti, Mormons immediately target such people for assault, whether they have to be ordered by the church or not. If they're not ordered by the church, they act as if they're doing so on behalf of the church to protect the church. All Mormons go through the temple, and in the temple they make covenants, the law of sacrifice and the law of consecration especially, where it says you give loyalty to the church and the kingdom of God. That's right. That's one of the crimes of the church. And I'll get to that when we get into the counts. So this one is just the initial stuff of needing to obtain evidence against the defendant. In this case, it's the church. And because this involves a RICO charge, RICO has to do with taking down mob bosses, criminal organizations, where the leader is typically smart enough not to give orders to subordinates who do the will of the boss, but because of this RICO law that was passed back in '73 and maybe even the '60s, it allows people to refer to that law to assist them against crime organizations, to take away their money, to shut them down so that they can no longer function and commit crimes. And that's been done with white supremacist groups, is what it's mostly been used for so far. This Utah, the LDS Church, is a white supremacist terrorist group, crime organization, and so it fully applies. And so evidence is needed to show this. And so the email that I sent to this possibly unaffiliated with the church group, possibly not, but I gave them an opportunity to do the right thing, because they're the bosses over those who are making an attack on me as an anti-Mormon, as they label me. And so we'll see how they respond, if they respond. If they don't respond, I get to report to the court they didn't respond. If they respond in the negative and join in on the attack against me, then I get to report that to the court. And if they do the right thing and shut down these minions of the church, then I get to report that to the courts and say, see, I already got these guys shut down for acting on behalf of the defendant, the church. And that's going to go against the church if that's the case, because now we have not only the evidence of my filing a complaint, but that action was taken to protect me against my attackers, confirming that I was being attacked by agents of the church. And so that's essential in a court case, is obtaining the evidence of a crime committed against you. And so obtaining documentations, recordings, all those types of things assist in building your case that the church has been committing all these different crimes through their agents or directly from the church. And so, like I said, we'll go count by count, one count at a time, so it may just be a short 5-minute, 10-minute video, and I'll keep it that size anyway. But we'll go through all of them, and there's going to be tons, literally tons. I bought another case of 8 reams of paper, so I don't know how many pages I'm getting, but I got them so that I can do all the printing necessary for this, because when you submit the filing, and as I mentioned, I already filed in September, but because I did addendums, the judge said, this is not the process. You need to refile, resubmit your complaint if you have more to add. And so I was given 30 days more to refile. And so as I go through the refiling, I'm gonna do videos to bring you along in this case, because this case has worldwide ramifications, because Mormons are worldwide and they're doing business worldwide. And so even though it's only going to apply to me and what the church has been doing to me, they've been doing it to other Mormons also. So yes, other Mormons, you can join in by filing your own lawsuit against the church. Now, yes, Kay Birmingham has filed on behalf of a former Mormon, Gaddy is her last name, and that's a class action, but they require people resign from the church. In order for me to do my lawsuit, it's necessary that I still be a member, and that as a member, I'm being attacked for my religion. And we'll get to that as we get to the counts. And this is what's going to hurt the church, is because they're using religion to attack people and extort and threaten and commit crimes and atrocities. And I, having been born and raised in the church and have been a faithful, active member for 50 years, I know everything that's going on and what's been done to me, as well as it's also been done to other people as well. And so that's part of the importance. And because I grew up in Southern California, I didn't have Mormon peers to hang out with after school or even in school. Wayne was not in my class. Keith was not even in my school. And the girls were not in my class or in my school either. Because in California, where I was, it was the church region for the ward was bigger boundaries than the school boundaries, and so I was on the Norco side, and some were on the Corona side. So they went to Corona High, I went to Norco High, and because I didn't have Mormons to associate with, I didn't have Mormons to say, you can't drink that Mountain Dew. That's a sin. You can't watch that R-rated movie, though the very first R-rated movie, Keith took me to it, and it was Platoon. Nope, I correct myself. My first R-rated movie was from my parents, who took us to see JFK. And my brother, younger brother, everybody's younger, I'm the oldest, my brother walked out. My parents took us because of the importance of that event in history in government. And my brother walked out because the language from Joe Pesci was too much for him to handle. So, that's part of the effects of Mormonism. Is when there's something important to understand, Mormonism throws in all these little wedges to prevent people from getting that information. But we'll get to those when we get to the counts. So, get records, get things documented. Say for the email, I did print out as I read it to one of the other tenants who was also being affected by this, and so if you do have to do a copy and paste because you can't do it in an email, like if you're notifying an organization or a government agency or police department and they don't have an option for printing out your complaint, or they don't have a checkbox to email you a complaint copy, do a copy and paste of your complaint, put it on a Word, make sure the date is on it, and so that you have that in your records, because all these agencies are supposed to file the complaint and at least have it documented that it was filed. And then if they choose not to respond to it, then they're going to get busted. And so having the complaint on your end goes a long way, because the courts are going to want to know, have you been making every effort to go through the chain of command, through the red tape, etc., etc. So get documentation, get evidence, and I'll show you all the documentation and evidence that the church is guilty of the most severe of all crimes, and it's widespread. Everything they do is a crime. Everything, literally everything, from baptism even to little children, and everything. So this is huge, and I don't know if you fully understand how huge this is. Some people are recognizing how huge Kay's lawsuit is, but no. She doesn't fully grasp it. She understands what the church has done to her, and she's done her own research with her book, and I've got that book somewhere. But she doesn't know. So pay attention. It's worth watching, because this is going to be historic, just like the impeachment proceedings of Trump. Whether you like Trump or not, which if you like Trump, then you're an enemy of the people. Literally. And if you're a Mormon, faithful and devoted to the church, committing crimes for the church, you're the one who's in the wrong. You're on the wrong side of history, etc., etc., etc. So, alright, here we go.